Hello, America and all Philadelphia. This is Dennis Payne. I am the founder of HAVOC, which stands for the Homeless American Volunteer Organization Coalition. And in the years ahead, we plan to tell you not only who we are, but what we are going to plan on doing for all communities that have issues at hand, dealing with everybody who lives at $70,000 and below. The issues that concern the working class and the poor citizens of all of our cities of Philadelphia. This is Dennis Payne, and my first interview will be with Al Holmes, who signed on as my architect to help build and reconstruct all the buildings that we're going to be building in the future. Stay tuned for the interview. Thank you. Hello, America and all Philadelphia. This is Dennis Payne from HAVOC, sitting here with Alvin Holm, the architect of an amphitheater to be placed in front of the Philadelphia Art Museum here in Philly. We're here to interview him about it and how long he's been trying to put it there. Al, what gave you the inspiration to create this amphitheater?
I was a big fan of Princess Grace. I never met her, but I knew her brother was Councilman Kelly.
Right.
And we were living over on, family and I were living on the Parkway, and Councilman Kelly was living right down the street, and I knew him from the neighborhood.
Right.
And when Grace died, I felt so sad. Even though I didn't actually know her, I was just an admirer.
Right.
Because of her brother's living on the Parkway and his enthusiasm for running up and down the Parkway, jogging, and for my devotion to the Parkway and our kids growing up there and all, it just occurred to me one day as I was walking past the Aikens Oval, past the Art Museum. It occurred to me, wouldn't it be wonderful to do a memorial to, because she was so well known and so beloved, a memorial of some sort, and as an actress I figured, well, wouldn't she appreciate having a stage right there? And it just hit me, and I drew it up pretty quickly, and I took it, everybody who looked at it said, oh boy, that's great.
Oh, it looks awesome.
I took it to her brother down the street, and he thought, wonderful, let's do it. Well,
So he's on board with you and has been?
he was, yeah.
He was?
But he died not long
sorry.
after, jogging down the Parkway right about there. Now we could make it a John B. and Grace Kelly memorial.
Sad. It's sad, pardon me, but it's sad.
It was sad, very sad.
What's the intention? Who would be able to benefit from it being there?
Well, everybody in the area, for sure, because it would be there all the time, and open. And when an event is not taking place, it'd make a wonderful playground. Some of the people this was not in my head to begin with, but some of the people who've seen it said, oh, that'd be great, put play equipment down there, portable stuff. And the folks would sit around in the seats and read or talk, or while their kids were playing safely in the amphitheater, and they wouldn't, whatever wild things they were doing, they would not be visible from the people driving around, and they'd be perfectly safe. That would be not the principal use, but that would be a fine use. Kids love to play on the stage. Kids love to be the center of attention. And whatever. So that would be when it's not in use for theatrical reasons.
But the public at large can register and use it.
Well, sure, it would be open all the time. Now, the intention of it, of course, is to have concerts there. This was not long after, I don't know how many years later, but after the Pope had addressed the multitudes.
He's coming back in 2015.
Good.
Yes.
So, we, instead of erecting all kinds of expensive temporary seating, this is seating all the time. And it wouldn't be even, they'd have to augment it for when the Pope comes again, or fantastic rock group uses it or something, I mean, they would have to put additional, but how much less costly it would be than now
Right.
if it were a permanent seating and they would just augment it and take down. But this would be used for informal concerts, little neighborhood groups, plays,
Yeah, I know a school.
civic announcements,
I know a school up
rallies.
in Kensington that teaches music that the students will benefit greatly from that.
Yeah,
Yes.
things like that.
So, what kind of resistance have you been meeting from the city on this?
Ignoring it.
They're totally been ignoring it.
Yes.
And this has been for what, 35 years now?
No, don't exaggerate. This is only 20-some years ago.
Okay, only 20-some years
Yeah.
ago. Okay, well, I'm not sure. That's why I'm bouncing it off you. Okay, all right. And so,
Well, I gotta say, at the time, we have a certain amount, I mean, Councilman Kelly was big for it, but
Right.
wouldn't you know, he died.
right.
I shouldn't say mean things about Prince
People passed.
Prince Rainier, but
Okay. It happens.
he wasn't interested at all in supporting it. And that's about as far as we went with it. It got, it was published a couple times in local newspapers
Right.
with a certain amount of applause, a certain amount of, hey, wouldn't this be nice?
Good go, George.
And it got good reviews by most of the people in town, including the director of the art museum at the time, and various influential people.
In
But
that,
recently, I mean, I didn't, I kind of dropped it. I'm happy to have it as a picture of a
right.
dream scheme.
But I'm sure you want
But-
the reality of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
but recently, just in this last year, there's been a lot of attention focused by the city and by the University of Pennsylvania and.
What's
the
they're
Rangers.
resisting it?
No, they're promoting new uses for the parkway.
Okay.
And they called together neighborhood groups to, for ideas, and I
Right.
turned up at a variety of these
These
groups.
meetings.
And, showed my picture, and I sent letters to
Certain people.
the certain people that had promoted this discussion
Right.
of, how can the parkway better serve its citizens.
Right.
The traffic is a big problem, and everybody knows that.
Well, the way I see that shouldn't be that problem. It ain't gonna add many
No.
cars to it,
No, but traffic in general is a problem
Mhm.
on the parkway these days. People
Right.
are concerned about how easy it is to get across the parkway.
Right.
That's all.
Well, people are racing down the Parkway too now, I notice. Al, how do you propose to pay for this amphitheater?
Well, honestly, no. I'd even like a little remuneration for the work I've done.
There you go.
Certainly, no, I don't have the wherewithal.
Okay.
No, this would have to be a city project, but I'm sure that it's also the kind of thing that wealthy individuals might very well
Be interested in.
step forward and support.
Right.
And there's a lot of them out there.
Which gets me to my side of the coin.
Good.
Okay, my side of the coin is HAVOC. Okay,
Yes.
and you agreed to be the architect to help me redesign one city block to start with.
Oh, I'd love to work up there with you.
Yes,
Yeah.
and referring to Ascension Church at F in Westmoreland, up in Kensington, Philadelphia, PA. Okay, and as I don't know if I told you yet, but Archdiocese called me,
Mhm.
and my name is now in the running to be allowed to bid on the city block. They recognize me as a legit organization now.
To bid.
To bid, I'm allowed to bid, and
All you need is money, right?
Right. Well, like yourself, I hope that certain politicians are going to jump on board and reinvest in American neighborhoods. And
Okay.
Kensington's one of the ones that HAVOC is going to focus on. We, like to believe that, everybody needs healing all around the nation, but until they see what the healing looks like, nobody's going to go for the medicine. So we got to create it here in Philadelphia in one of our neighborhoods,
Uh-huh.
so it could be mimicked in all the neighborhoods and spread out for the nation.
Yes.
That's our goal, our intentions. Okay, and that's why I'm glad you're one of the first people to jump on board with this. My camera guy Scott Parry, he's now jumping on board. So it's slowly going. I'm just a little pea on top of a mountain. I'm about ready to kick that pea over, by calling a General Assembly, right? And I want to put a concert. This is where your help can come in as well, right? I want to close from 3rd and Market to 6th and Market and set a stage up at 4th and Market facing Channel 29. And the event will be called National Day to Get Out and Get Busy, right? And we're going to invite corporations out, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want to train and hire new employees to bring their information tables out, okay? We're also going to call for all charities and other religious organizations who are looking for volunteers, who depend on volunteers, to bring their information tables out. Organizations like POW and Boys and Girls Club, let them come out. The Marine Corps, the state troopers, let them bring their information tables out. Everybody Occupy can come out too, yes, Occupy, yes, they can come out. They'll be there regardless, I know that. My friends at Occupy, hello, right? But anyway, yes, Occupy, I can count on them being there, I hope.
I hope so too.
I tried to get Occupy up into Kensington because they were talking about they needed to recruit people and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I got people up in Kensington who are willing to be recruited if you come up. And they didn't come up, but hopefully maybe now they will. Because if we can do this with the Ascension Church, if we can get this building and turn it into, like I said, it's going to be a town hall, multi-community, multi-service center with a food bank, a soup kitchen, and an intake shelter that the person don't stay there 30, 60 days in a row. We'll evaluate them within the first 25 minutes, sign them for a bed for temporarily until a bed opens up into what we'll call Homes of Hope. Now what is it, John Taylor here in Philadelphia is creating a land bank of all the abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
Okay, well, HAVOC would like to be able to we're also first in line to purchase that property once it goes up. So HAVOC's got their hands in a lot of things that the city's doing.
That's good. That's great, yeah.
So...
Yeah, you and I have talked about one of the architectural problems in areas like that.
Yes, and all of it.
There's a row of buildings and then there's a vacancy. There's
a lot
here, and then there's a lot. And
yeah.
There's another lot. And then
you got a building, a lot, a building, a lot.
Yeah, and there is a tendency to solve those problems now by taking down the buildings. So it's big enough for a developer to sink his teeth in.
Well, that's what I suspect.
But better than that is to infill, because the greenest buildings are the buildings that already exist, and no matter how much it takes to put them back together, still, it's worth doing. And as people see this work being done individually,
they'll do it
more and more people come, and this is a far better way of dealing with a blighted neighborhood. Than wiping it out. Right. Much better
well, they do that. They do that for multiple reasons. Once they leave them standing, at time takes damage toll. So between them falling, and then of course, up in our neighborhoods we have a high crime rate.
Yeah,
so a lot of that. So they have to bring this stuff down.
Exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And, but not if you have activity in the neighborhood.
Right. More activity. Yes.
Making gardens between in the yards that were created by the buildings falling down. And as soon as it's much easier to do them one at a time than to do them all.
Well, what HAVOC proposes for a lot of these lots, we would like to get a hold of these land banks and have them community run. Okay, so each community can decide what particular lot is needed. Like this, lot A can be an organic vegetable garden. Lot B can be a little mom and dad newborn playground for mothers and parents with newborns, right? And then a stray cat sanctuary for those of us who like to take care of stray cats. One of those three should be randomly placed around the neighborhoods. Okay, so there's a activity going on,
Not randomly, artfully.
Yeah, well, there you go, spoken from an architect, okay? So, yes.
Strategically placed.
Yes, well, that's the whole thing. I mean, William Penn, I think they wanted us to keep this going,
Yes.
And I think they want us to bring green back.
Yes.
I see a lot of concrete, and that's what I don't want to see. I want to see more green parks.
Sure. Sure. And then runoff is reduced and sewage is handled better.
Well, they redesigned in Kensington a couple city streets where they got a new sewer system going. Okay, it doesn't just go straight into to the river, it now is absorbed, and they test the soil to see what its absorption capacity can be.
Yeah.
And then the rainwater gets flooded into that. It doesn't go down the drain. You know, and so that's the kind of stuff I would like to see put in all of our neighborhoods, you know.
Yeah, in an area like that, which is transitional in any
Right.
case, I mean, we don't know where it's going to go, but we can kind of help direct it.
Right.
We could work with green roofs as
Right.
well.
Mm-hmm.
And there again, you save a lot of runoff. And gardens up there. When I was living over here in the row house on Lambert Street behind the Franklin Institute,
Right.
some of the neighbors and I had this idea of, because you've got an expanse of roof,
Right.
you know, a whole bunch of row houses all the same height. Hey, how about planting up there? How about
Roof
making it
gardens.
recreational? Roof
Or
gardens.
recreational spots too.
Yeah. You know, people go up and, you know, sit around
Well-
and read. Or
Well, some places are
Right.
doing it, like the New Kensington Schools
Mhm.
got a garden roof. Their roof is
Oh, right.
green.
Do they? Yeah.
Yes, you can see when you ride past on the L, you can just look over and see their roof. They have grass growing on the roof, and they also
What-
grass.
Yeah,
They have
what
a lawn.
building?
Yeah.
What building?
Oh, the New Kensington at Front and Burks.
And then Kensington.
Yeah, New Kensington High School at Front
Oh,
and
high
Burks.
school, yeah.
Yeah, it's a high school.
Yeah.
Right. They just redid it. They just built it. It used to be a vacant
Oh,
lot.
that's great. I like
You know?
that.
Yeah, and they also got those new sunlight things where you have the sunlight come in and it shifts it down into a room.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got that. They got all the modern technology, and that's another thing. Our
You can
schools.
do this on a large scale, like on New High School,
Mhm.
but you can also do it on smaller scale,
Small,
like
yes, private homes.
home by home by
Yes.
home. Yeah.
See, my thing with the private homes, we like to turn them totally green. We want to get people off the grid. Okay, no more electric grid. You know, they're going to have the water and the gas because everybody loves natural gas. There ain't nothing like cooking with natural gas. You know.
Yeah.
So, but there's other ways. You can have hydro, you can have wind, and you can have solar, and that'll take care of one solar or one hydro, or not one hydro, but one solar and one wind. You know, they got wind towers that are like about the size of a mailbox. You know, and
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
put them on a roof, and they can generate enough energy for about 6 houses of a city block. So that's 6 houses that their
Yeah.
energy would be cheap.
Yeah, I've seen those small scale wind.
Yes, they have several types.
In the Caribbean areas, they have them.
Right.
They're terrific.
Before I
And
forget,
they go like that.
Before I forget, I would like to show everybody what your amphitheater looks like.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to say about this, but and had I rehearsed, I might be able to say this more coherently. But what I think is, and what people seem to notice immediately, is this beautiful thing with its sort of rectangular arms reaching out to the city. I mean, it's kind of like an embrace.
Symbolic brotherly love.
Yeah, and then high above, and then way below, we have a kind of answering, it's like a
Respondent.
a response. Exactly. Only this is round. As it goes into the earth, you know, it's more rounded, and it responds to this more
Uplift,
celestial,
yes,
this
yes.
more heavenly kind of thing. This is earthy, and this is sky, and in the middle, of course, is this wonderful equestrian figure of our original leader, George Washington, flanked by water. So you have the 4 elements: the earth, and the air, and the water. Now, maybe we don't have to talk about
And
fire, but once upon a time, before there was a Philadelphia formally,
Right.
when the Swedes came to America, they brought a ceremony, a solstice ceremony, and they lit bonfire on the hill.
On top of that hill?
Yeah, right on top of this hill.
Okay.
So the early people, the pre-Europeans,
Yes.
regarded this hill as holy to Mother Earth, or Father Earth, or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But it was dedicated to Earth, and it was a sanctuary. uh, people on the run, you know, could take sanctuary up here, and the cops couldn't get them, you know.
Like the Underground Railroad of the old days.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, or star-crossed lovers, you know,
Right.
come up here. And,
Sanctuary.
yeah, sanctuary is the word, yeah.
Yeah. Which,
So it was to the Native Americans,
Right.
they called themselves the original people, the Lenni Lenape.
right.
You know. But then Europeans came, brought with them their ceremonies, and did this fire ceremony that they brought from Europe, and they're still doing it today in Europe, with bonfires on hills.
Is that what
on the
influenced the
solstice.
placing of the art museum?
Um,
That history?
we don't really know, but then, in the 19th century, they dug it out and made the Fairmont Waterworks were right down there. They pumped the water up
To
to this what a reservoir, you know, and from this elevated reservoir, they let it drain down to Center Square,
Right.
and it was kind of the aorta, the main source of water for the whole city. So from earth to fire to water, the next step
Is wind.
was building this Greek-style building up here to the Olympian gods. You know, art and
That's our
and the
answer to
gods of
Olympus,
Olympia.
then.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. I kind of thought that too.
Yeah, to the air, you know,
Yeah.
so to the heavens.
Right, right.
So
This particular piece right here won't extract the view from people looking down the
No,
parkway.
no, you'll never see it, you know,
Right.
until you walk right up there and look down.
Okay.
So, you know, I wrote a thing about this years ago, about the four, you know, what's next?
Right.
Now that we've completed the cycle of four, what's next? I'm thinking next, back to the earth, dig it out, you know, and this contrast, the square versus the curving, the sky versus the earth.
They
you know.
flatter each other, to tell you the truth. That
Yeah.
looks like a natural added to it.
Mhm.
You
Dennis
know?
would be completely invisible down the parkway, so nothing is going to stand in the way of
Right.
seeing this and seeing that.
Okay. There we go.
Here's the way it would look when you're sitting on the steps. This is a section,
Right.
and there's the equestrian figure of Washington, and behind it is the art museum. This is the plan that shows it doesn't get in the way. It's a modest kind of scooping out of the earth. And at the time, maybe 20 years ago, we calculated this could be done about $3 million.
$3 million?
Now, that would cost more today. But depending on how it's done, I mean, the simplest way for starters would just be to dig it out and make a grassy amphitheater
Right.
with no concrete at all. You know, just
For starters.
yeah.
Right.
And those are very pleasant and around the world.
I always like
people have
grass
done
lawns.
that. Yeah. And you know, the seating would be the same. It's convenient because, I mean, the construction is really easy because already underneath the monument here, there's a retaining wall that goes right across here. There's a cellar underneath
Well,
with the equipment presumably for the fountains.
Okay.
So there'd be practically no charge, you know, for digging it out. I mean, except the excavation.
Right, right.
And then, you know, this could be designed however.
What's that, like about a story and a half tall?
Yeah.
So that's like
Well,
a story and a half deep down.
Yeah, here's scale figures.
Yeah. This is the ground
Up here,
level
so
beam right
that's-
here,
Yeah.
and this is above and this is below.
Mhm. And these are just little kind of casinos where you can serve
Coffee
refreshments
drinks,
and
yes,
stuff
yes.
On days, and or you know, go get out of the rain, or
Right.
you know, a variety of things. And back here, there could be backstage or not. I mean, depending on theatrical demands or
Right.
requirements.
Well,
the
I know
cost-
from
the
day one
cost
it'll
of
be
this, huh?
I know from day one it opens, it'll be booked.
Good.
I already have people that are just can't wait to see it. You know, I mean,
That's funny.
as you see, I'm trying to get your word out. You know.
Yes.
this is, I guess, you happy? I'm happy. This has been Dennis Payne with HAVOC, sitting with my friend Alvin Holmes. And this has been the birth of HAVOC.